Hi Avid Armor family, I'm Nina and thank you for joining us for today's Facebook Live Q&A session. Today we're going to be answering your questions about the A100 vacuum sealer. We're going to go ahead and get started with the most frequently asked questions, but feel free, follow along, ask additional questions as we go, and we'll do our best to get them answered for you. With that, let's get started. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for taking the time to join us today to kind of go over some of our frequently asked questions of our A100 vacuum sealer. The first thing that we're going to do is show everyone how to make a bag using a vacuum sealer roll on the A100. So the A100 doesn't have a locking lid, so it does have to have, in order to make a seal on a bag, it does have to have a combination of vacuum and pressure to make a seal. So with that, we actually suggest keeping the bag on the roll to make your first seal, because that allows the lid to lock down easier when it's not an open-ended bag. So we'll go ahead and put the end of the roll into the vacuum channel, and then make sure it's nice and smooth across the seal bar, and then close the lid. We're gonna make sure that the seal time setting is accurate. This seal time setting is only for the amount of seal time that you need in order to seal a bag. It has nothing to do with the vacuum, the level of vacuum. So you're only going to ever adjust this if you're going to do a different type of bag, a thicker bag. So for our bags or a comparable bag, we suggest a seal time setting of about a 3. So we'll go ahead, press the seal button, press and hold down on the lid to make sure that vacuum engages. And then once it's finished, you can see that you've got a nice, clean and consistent seal all the way across. And then you can go ahead and cut your roll, the bag off your roll to your desired length. So I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate right here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to vacuum seal, we get questions a lot about high moisture proteins and how to vacuum seal those and get all the air out, because that is what this machine is used for a lot. So we got some chicken breasts that have a lot of moisture to them. So we'll go ahead and load these in the bag. I'm going to try to keep my hands as clean as possible. So whenever you put your item in the bag, you'll probably get some juices and liquids around the seal area. So you'll want to make sure to use a paper towel or something to clean those off, because those liquids can, or any residue from whatever you're sealing, can actually cause the bag to stick together and you won't get a really good vacuum. So we'll go ahead and just wipe. I didn't get it too bad in here, but I'll just show you. Just go ahead and wipe around the seal area. Make sure it's clean and dry. And then also, what's very important is you have plenty of headspace and space in the bag for the air to be removed from the bag. So the vacuum sealer uses these, the embossment texture on the bag as little highways to remove the air. So if your bag is way too full, then the sealer is going to have a harder time using those vacuum channels to withdraw the air. So again, we always recommend at least 3 inches of headspace to remove the air, but then also that is to make sure you have a nice flat bag across the seal bar, because if it does get, you know, wrinkled across, that's going to affect your seal, which is going to cause leaking in the bag. So we'll go ahead, lay that across, make sure the opening of the bag is in your vacuum channel, and then we'll go ahead and close it and press the start button, and then we're going to press and hold down on the lid until the vacuum engages. You'll see that the liquid is being sucked up. and it creates your seal. Now, if you do have a lot of liquid that's escaping, sometimes you might have a part on the seal that's a little bit questionable. So what we actually recommend doing is putting a secondary seal on there just as security purposes. But the A100 does have a nice thick 5mm seal. So that way it's a little bit more forgiving when you're sealing high liquid stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a secondary seal on there just for extra security. There we go. And we do have a nice tight vacuum sealed high moisture content protein. You will notice meats and other proteins, fish, they will still definitely be squishy, if you will. They're not ever going to get rock solid like you would when you're vacuum sealing dry goods. But you should easily be able to see, you might be able to pull it away a little bit, but that is a nice tight vacuum sealed bag. So I think that's it for that. Feel free, I'm going to go ahead and go on to another thing, but feel free to ask questions as we go, and I will try to get them answered for you. So the next thing that we're going to show you is how to seal mason jars using the A100. So the A100 does have an accessory port over here and an accessory function, and that is to vacuum seal external canisters. And the A100 does come with a vacuum hose. We also sell vacuum canisters, and those come with the hose too, but and it's compatible, so we'll just go ahead and use the A100 hose. And then we've got a mason jar. It's open, so what you're going to do is take your filled mason jar, lightly put on the cap, and then again lightly, just barely lightly screw on the seal, and you're going to place that inside of this is our largest canister. It's a 2-liter, and this is a quart size mason jar, and it fits in there just perfect. And then we'll go ahead and insert our hose into the accessory port. Easiest way is to just twist it in there. Make sure you get a tight fit, and then take the other end of the hose and twist it into the lid. And then you're going to want to make sure to set your setting to seal. That's going to vacuum the entire canister, and at the same time it will vacuum seal the mason jar. So we're going to go ahead and press the accessory button and have it do its thing. Sorry you can't see this since it's the top down, but you can't really see anything anyway. There's not really any movement or anything of the mason jar. All right, and then once it's done, we're going to go ahead and remove the hose. And then we're going to open the vacuum canister and remove the lid. And you'll see that this lid, it doesn't do that popping sound. The lid is nice and well, I can show you. It's definitely vacuum sealed on. You're going to need a crowbar to get that thing off. But that's how you do that. Super simple. You can do liquid. The cool thing, this is all standing up, so you can do vacuum seal any kind of liquids or anything in your mason jar. So someone asked, what's the difference with sealing versus not sealing a mason jar? I'm not sure. How
long does it sit out line? I think is what she asked.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What's the benefit? So vacuum sealing, the standard rule of thumb is it's going to extend the shelf life about 5 times of the traditional with when it's not vacuum sealed. So if it's not sealed and the shelf life is 1 year, you can confidently say that vacuum sealing those dry goods, for example, could last 5 years. So that's the general rule of thumb. And then Melanie is asking, how much vacuum does this sealer pull, preferably in inches of mercury? We usually say there are several variables on how many inches of vacuum it can pull, because there's things like altitude and the climate, the things like that can affect it. But we can confidently say that this one pulls 27 to 28 inches of mercury. Under normal circumstances. All right. The next, keep the questions coming. This is great. The next thing that we're going to show you is sealing Mylar bags. So this is a common question that we get a lot, is if the A100 can seal Mylar bags. So yes and no. If the thing with any suction vacuum sealer is that it has to have the embossed texture on the bag in order to pull a vacuum on it. And so most Mylar bags on the market do not, because they're made of a foil plastic combination. Most of them on the market do not have that embossed texture that you need. So with the A100, you can seal it, you can put a seal on it, but you're not going to be able to vacuum it. So I'll go ahead and show you just sealing it. And remember, I mentioned you would only adjust your seal time if you're doing thicker type bags. So this is a perfect scenario. So thicker bag, you're going to want to do a higher seal time setting. So we're going to go ahead and I'll show you how this will seal a bag. Let's see. I don't have anything to throw in there right this second, but I'll just go ahead and seal this Mylar bag at the seal time setting of 6. This is a seal only. So like I said, it will seal the Mylar bag, but it's not going to vacuum it. So there are some hacks out there that you can do to make it vacuum. One of the ways that we suggest is, if you don't have the textured Mylar bags, is you can go ahead and vacuum seal in a regular embossed bag. I got to bump this back down to 3 since it's a regular bag. And then what you could do is just to get that, that light protection, that extended shelf life, and a better seal, you can go ahead, put that vacuum sealed bag in there, and then you'll see, we'll go ahead, see if it might vacuum a little bit, because we have that, but no, it's not. It's okay, but it'll go ahead and seal. Oh, yeah, sorry. I might have messed that up. Let's see if it worked. Yeah. So as you notice, I accidentally messed up on that seal time. I forgot to adjust it. So it did not seal. It made a little bit of a seal, but let's just go ahead, and I might have torn the bag a little bit. Let's go ahead and, it's okay. That's why we're live. I'm always making mistakes. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and tuck that so it doesn't interfere with the seal. And then we'll go ahead and adjust that back up to 6. Make sure it's nice and smooth so you get a good positive seal. And there you have it. So you see there's not a vacuum on it, but the bag inside is vacuumed, and it is definitely sealed that time. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put this away. All right, the next thing I can show is how to vacuum seal delicate items using the pulse function. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back down to 3 because I'm using a regular vacuum seal bag. So for delicate items, we do have the pulse vac function, and that's going to allow you to manually control the level of vacuum that you put on a bag. Now, with that being said, you will have to put a seal after you do the pulse vac, and then we always recommend doing a secondary seal because as I mentioned, to make a seal on the A100, it does have to have a combination of pressure and vacuum. And whenever you're using that pulse vac function, you are pulling a vacuum and then releasing that vacuum, and pulling the vacuum and then releasing it. So whenever you go to make a seal, you're actually releasing that vacuum. So that first seal is probably not going to be 100%. So we recommend just kind of lifting it up, starting it, and doing another seal to make sure you get a good vacuum. Or I'm sorry, a good seal. So we'll go ahead and put it in the pulse vac function, and then you're going to press and release until you get the vacuum level that you want. Remember, you have to press and hold down on that lid as you're doing that to make sure that it will pull the vacuum. And then once you get to the level that you want, go ahead and press seal. And it will release that. And then we recommend pulling it out and then just immediately doing one more seal. And now we've got our croissant that isn't completely crushed. There's still, as you can see, there's air pockets in it because we didn't pull a complete vacuum. All right, let's see. We'll wait just a couple of minutes, see if anybody has any other questions. All right. Another question that we get is how to use the marinating function on the A100. So you will, again, this is something that you will need a marinating canister or some sort of external canisters. Our regular canisters will work. They're just kind of awkward shaped to do the marinating function, but we do have the Magic Vac marinating canister that works. So you'll hook up the accessory hose. Oh, looky here, we have our marinating canister. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep it actually in the open position. There's the vacuum, or the vacuum. And then let's go ahead and put this. And then the marinating function, what it's going to do, it's going to put the canister under a period of vacuum, and then it's going to release that vacuum, and then it's going to vacuum it again and release it, and it's going to do that several times. And what that's doing is it's opening up the pores of the protein that you're marinating and really infusing the marinade into it. So here's the marinating canister, perfect size for steak, chicken, fish, whatever you want to do. But I'll go ahead and press that marinate function and show you kind of what it does. Sorry, I had to press the start button. So, and this is whenever it's releasing the vacuum, and then it will go through the cycle again after it releases, and then it will vacuum again, and it's going to do this several times back and forth. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop this since we don't need that. We're not really marinating anything. All right, let's see. Someone asked, what is the difference between the pulse vac function and the impulse seal? So as I went over the pulse vac function, that is to manually control the level of vacuum whenever, you know, you're doing delicate items or even high moisture content items. Impulse seal is strictly has to do with the seal. And what it does is it allows you, if you have several bags to make in a row, when you put it in impulse seal mode, you're going to be able to lift the lid, close the lid, make a seal, lift the lid, close the lid, make a seal several times without ever touching any other buttons. So I'll go ahead and show you that. I pre-cut several bags, so I'm going to kind of close off the end a little bit to make sure we get a good seal. But put it in impulse seal. Oop, I gotta open the lid first, sorry. And then gonna make that first seal. And then that's gonna open the lid. You got your seal, and then you're gonna go on to your next bag. So this is for making several bags in a row without having to press any additional buttons. It's gonna go. And then whenever you're finished with this function, you just have to press the on-off button to clear it out of that cycle. There we go. All right. Is that all the questions? Let's see. Any other questions? How does it do with vacuum sealing liquids? The A100 is a suction vacuum sealer. The technology is the same as any other suction vacuum sealer on the market. So technically it's not ideal for vacuum sealing liquids. There are some hacks that you can do to get away with doing some form of liquids, but you just got to keep in mind that doing high moisture, I shouldn't say high moisture, liquid stuff, that it's going to be sucking a lot of vapors and stuff into the machine. Over time, that can cause buildup and do internal damage to the machine. So there's things you can do, like pre-freezing things to so it's, if you do like 24-hour light freeze, that will allow you to vacuum seal liquid items. Or some people do the trick where you actually hold the machine, put the machine over the counter, so the bag is actually hanging over the counter, so that makes it harder for gravity to pull the liquids up. Let's see, Adrian, I'm sorry, asked if there's any suggestions for sealing things like flour. Some sites have suggested freezing flour first. You can, another trick that you can is if it seems to be pulling out too much of the flour out of the bag, you can always double bag it, where you put the flour in one bag and then put another bag in the opposite way, so then it's harder for that flour to come out. But that's a great question. All right, and let's see. The last question that we wanted to cover is how does the A100 compare to the A420? That's a question that we get a lot. The A420 is our new vacuum sealer that we just launched a few months ago. And I'll have my team see if they can come and bring over the A420 real quick to compare it kind of a little bit side by side. We'll clear some while we wait for them. But Essentially, this A100 machine we've had out for several years, and it's become our kind of tried and true vacuum sealer. But there were a lot of, or some features, I should say, that we had customers wanting, and so we set out to make a new machine that provided some of those extra bells and whistles, if you will. So let's see if we can get these to somewhat fit next to each other. Let's see. Okay, so this is our A420 side by side. Yeah. And you can see, so what we wanted to do with this is the A420 is have some of those features that people were wanting. So one of the very first things was the roll storage. Some people that are upgrading from a smaller vacuum sealer, they're used to having that roll storage, and they love being able to use rolls and not waste when making bags. So this one, we have the built-in roll storage, and it does have a bag cutter. So that makes it very convenient to pull out, make your own roll without doing what I did with the A100, where I had to cut the bag. So that's one of the features. It's not plugged in, so I can't show you, but this one also has a digital display panel. It's very intuitive, very user-friendly. It shows you if something's going wrong. If the lid's not locked down correctly, it's not going to allow you to run the vacuum cycle. As far as internal components, they're very similar. They're built on the same platform. They both have a double piston pump. So they're both very powerful and heavy duty. They're both made of stainless steel. This one, again, we wanted a few extra features and make it a little bit more kitchen friendly. Give it a little touch of class to it rather than our rough and tough A100. So that's kind of the lowdown on those. Last question. Taylor asked, any idea when the USV20 will be shipping out? We're hopeful. We are hopeful that it will be sometime in mid-August. We don't have an exact ETA yet. There's just been a lot of delays, but we're working on getting those shipped out ASAP. And then yes, we will be doing a live Q&A for that. That will actually either be coming up next month in August or in September for sure. So that is going to be one of our next machines that we do. So I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time out of your Friday afternoon to join us. And we hope you come back next time to hear about our next vacuum sealer. Thanks. Have a great weekend.